respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhật thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã mùng, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, thất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Đan Thô Su Chê Đô Ye Ở La Hơ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Tát Đắc Tha Tu Già Đa Già La Hơ Đế Tam Miệu Tham Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei biao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jie wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great Master Tutor, great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good new advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、诸佛大士、师父上人、各位智者人、各位善知识弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa trí giả đại sư Hòa thượng Thiện Hoa, quý thầy cô và các vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is 11th of May 2024. We're here at Way Mountain to begin the discussion of the famous Vimalakirti Sutra. Okay, so thank you all for coming. Just some background information. This is a Chinese text. The version we use is the translation from Sanskrit into Chinese by great master Kumarajiva. We can go into that. He's a very famous translator into Chinese. He's Indian, as you might see from a name. But he went to India to do a lot of important translation work. We'll go into that briefly. And our philosophy, my personal philosophy, is that the Chinese masters, there's so many of them who are very, very wise, have great wisdom. So instead of trying to go it alone, I prefer to follow some of these commentaries. And I think my master did that too, even though he didn't quite explain it that way. Okay, because we have a great number of sages who explained sutras before. And one of them is great master Tutor, Chu Yi, okay, Tutor, Chu Yi. He's I believe, the fourth patriarch of the Tiantai school. Tiantai is a very famous Chinese school that they have very profound teachings, and they're known for their scholarly works. And so therefore, we use his commentary, and actually a bridge commentary that's originally, the commentary was made by great master Chu Cha, as per the emperor's request. The emperor felt that the sutra was such an important sutra that the emperor wanted a commentary to help the average person understand the sutra better. So the Master Chu was requested to do a commentary, and he, being very, very wise, his commentary is very, very long, okay, very thorough. And it's too long, so that's why one of the monks in that school, his name I believe is Chen Ran or something like that. I asked you to look for the name, okay? And so he did an abridged version with it. Abridged meaning that you shorten things, like you put a bridge between two things, and so that the contents were not lost, whereas it's in a simpler form. So I'm very grateful for that, for having that kind of materials available, and it's wonderful because when and from that Chinese text, we also got help from AI translation. Okay, see, we are at the forefront of technology, folks. I'm bragging. There you go. Thank you. And so the translation is not bad. Some places very good, about 90%. Few places 90%. But most of the time it's about 40-50%, which is what I'm hoping for. Okay, because my Chinese is not that good, so it helps to have someone to point me in the general direction so that I don't get too lost. And so I'm very grateful for all the help and support that has been giving me. Otherwise, there's no way I could prepare the sutra so quickly and to be able to have the confidence to explain it for you. Okay, so what we do, my philosophy is that when we lecture in sutras, I would prefer to look for some commentaries from great masters and learn from them, because I'm learning just like you, and then share it with you. And what's really interesting about us is that your commentaries, your question, really bring very fascinating lights shine different kinds of lights. It's from your perspective on the teachings, so it's fantastic, and this is what we have so far. Okay, and we have some group of people who also did the translation. It's a lot of work, trust me. The translation took a lot of work, even for me to correct the ChatGPT 4.0 translation. It took a lot of time for me as well, because it's rather delicate, okay? And so I've been blessed to be able to find some very competent people who translated the sutras, which is about 95% plus accurate. A few places a little bit off, but very rare, okay? And so I'm very impressed by that. Thank you for your hard work. And the rest is our explanations, our discussions. Okay. Thank you all. All right, let's get started. And feel free to ask any questions anytime. Okay. So very famous sutra. In ancient times, as I said, the emperor was so impressed, he insisted on the scholarly monks from the Tiantai school to explain it. Appeared around the 2nd century, and the original Sanskrit version was lost, was rediscovered, but it is no longer complete. So the sutra, that's what you see. The great sutras are usually a threat to the demons. That's why they do things to make them disappear. Okay? And one interesting note about this is that my Chinese master, great Master YongHua, I heard it secondhand, of course. Most of the things I learned from him are secondhand. He said, several people said that he did not want to explain the sutra. And after he explained it, I heard it once, 20 years ago, on tape, okay, in Chinese. Of course, I missed most of the Chinese explanation. But when he explained it, it was recorded. He said that he didn't want to explain the sutra or make it available because he was afraid that lay people would not leave the home life. Because in the sutra, they find that lay people are even better than monks. So lay people who follow the teachings here in the sutra can become enlightened, can attain liberation on their own. So why would they need to leave their home life? Okay, and so I heard of that, and so what they have right now at my Master's Association is just the English translation. And our people decided, I asked our people to do our own English translation so that we can have our own publication instead of relying on the English translation, okay? And so that's where we are today. And I feel I don't necessarily agree with my Chinese master. It's unfortunate that he explains the sutra. They didn't translate it. I remember vaguely. It's been a while, so I don't know. Back then, I couldn't understand much anyway. That the explanation that he gave was not that detailed, was not that profound. That's why I was able to understand a good part of it. It's okay, which at that level of mind, that means that my understanding is very, very shallow. Okay, and so I don't think we're missing much by not having his Chinese translation, Chinese commentary. However, he's a great sage. Therefore, I hope that they'll make it available, even without translation. Transcribe it. Nowadays, you can get the audio file and then have AI transcribing it. So, because it would be a shame to not make the sage's teachings available, okay? It's actually a crime from my perspective not to do that, okay? I feel very strongly about it, that it's so wrong to withhold back, especially when you're stupid and you don't understand it, you shouldn't hold back. Along in this commentary here, I copied a lot of the original Chuyi's, Tiantai Master's explanation in the text, so that the Chinese and you people who are much better at this language than I can tell me where I'm wrong, or can have a record for future reference. Okay, the Buddhist teaching is to be shared. It's not meant for you to monopolize or anyone to monopolize it. All right, but I feel I don't feel the same way Master YongHua about this sutra, especially about lay people being afraid lay people will not leave the home life if they listen to this sutra. If you listen to the sutra, you don't feel like leaving the home life or leave the home life. To me, it's all the same. It's your life. Okay. Who cares? Excuse me. Okay, so what's a big deal? Okay, living home life and not living home life is a lot of different reasons. You shouldn't have to worry about it. The main thing from my perspective is that you do things that are important to you, that matter to you. That's all. It's your life. Whatever you do, we respect that, your decisions, and we do our best to support you. It's not about what we know, what believe. It's about our jobs in our groups is to help you get what you want. Okay, not about us at all. So whether the decision for you to do anything in your life is yours to make. We're not here to influence it in any way. It's my personal opinion. Okay? And so I hoped that what I was told was wrong, because I don't subscribe to being, afraid that people will not live the home life. If no one lives the home life, I even don't care. Okay? That's the nice thing you have, advantage you have for not being a patriarch. You're not afraid that the Dharma will be extinct and no one cultivates it. Who cares? Okay? We all try our best. Okay? All right. All right. So this is our English translation, and I'm very pleased with the effort so far. Thank you, and keep it up. All right. We use Master Kumarajiva translation. Okay, and the title is so and so. Very popular, very literary, very polished. This is a 6th translation version from Sanskrit into Chinese. Came in 3 volumes. And for the history of translation, it's Xuanzang translation, 6 volumes. Another first one was Yanfu Diao, and 2 volumes. May not really exist at all. Second by Fu Jian, who is also 2 volumes, different titles and so forth. And right now, only 3 translation versions are still available, and many explanations, okay, of the sutra, because it has a wide appeal. Okay, Guiji is another eminent Chinese monk. He's a national master, meaning is a teacher of the Chinese emperor. I'm told he's around the 7th G, 7th ground bodhisattva. So see, the Chinese has a wealth of great masters. Okay, we can learn from. Kumarajiva, that's a rendition, a statue of him there. It doesn't look good, does he? But see, it's not even full lotus, not even half lotus. He's a monk, he's a scholar. Okay, personally, I have a little bit apprehension about scholarly monks. Okay, and he's a missionary. He goes around and to propagate the Dharma. Translator from Kucha Kingdom. He's very famous translator to the king. He first studied Hinayana. The Hinayana teaching of wisdom is called Abhidharma. Okay, and I think Abhidharma is the basis for Tibetan Buddhism. Okay, but if that's the case, then basically it's Hinayana. So the Buddhist wisdom contained therein is pretty narrow. It's not the complete wisdom, and you will find that out in the sutra through the great Tiantai masters, Zhi. Okay, and which explains to you what is the difference between your wisdom from Hinayana versus wisdom from Mahayana and so forth. It's a very nice comparison, okay, for your reference. I don't think my master never went into it, so it would be cool for us to learn more about it. And later, Kumarajiva became a believer in Mahayana and studying Madhyamaka, okay, which is one of the two major schools in India, as you might remember from the prologue discussion to the Avatamsaka Sutra. The Madhyamika, I believe it's the Dharma Nature school, the two schools, Dharma Nature and Dharma Marx. Dharma Nature is Madhyamika, who is associated with the Nagarjuna, okay? And so he's on that side, and later he went to China eventually and settled in Chang'an, and he's a great translator. His Chinese translation, they are very well done, very polished, and he set very high standards for translation, and is still copied, is still revered and admired nowadays, okay? And some more detail, this is from Master YongHua, Kumarajiva in India. Back then in India, they love to debate, okay, which is the first indicator of the tendency of that Indian Buddhism. If you debate, then you don't have time to meditate, to put it bluntly for you. Okay, you meditate, you don't have time to debate. So personally, that means I can only talk to you by my personal perspective. Personally, I would not be interested in going to India myself because I like to meditate. I don't like to debate. Okay, Debate is for when you have energy to waste and try to prove you're better. Okay, and when you meditate, you know you better. You don't have to say anything. And they know you better. Okay? They don't have to say anything. So what's the point in debating? You look at someone, you cannot tell that he's not as good as you, then your meditation skills is not there yet. Okay? So that's the difference between Chinese Chan and Indian Buddhism. Indian Buddhism, if they have to debate to prove their superiority, then I don't think they can beat the Chinese. The Chinese the Chinese will take one look at you, like my teacher, Master YongHua. He looked at you, he looked at me, he knew I was an idiot right away. So why would he want to debate with me? You see? And so the Indian tradition here doesn't impress me. I would not like to debate. Okay, it's a waste of time. Okay, and the Kucha king came and highly respected him, so brought him back to the court. Okay, because he's going around from country to country debating the other Indian masters, and the Kucha king said, "Okay, enough. You see, go back and take care of our country." Okay, and even at a very young age, he was ordained, 20 years old, in the king's palace. Okay, and the king gave him a newly built monastery. Okay, and he studied the Prajnaparamita Dharma. Okay, Prajnaparamita Dharma, by the way, for your reference, it's classified as the separate teaching, meaning it teaches people to become enlightened. Okay. So if you're not enlightened, then the Buddhists would tell you to study Prajnaparamita, because Prajna, meaning wisdom, transcendental wisdom. paramita is that achievement. You arrived at the transcendental wisdom. You succeed in cultivating the prajna wisdom. Okay, but that's what he did. He specialized in that, which tells you that if you only study that, if you specialize in that, that means that you have not been able to study the more profound teaching of a later period of the perfect teaching that is symbolized by the Lotus Sutra, the Nirvana Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, and so forth. So it's a much more advanced teaching than the Prajna Paramita. Okay? And so, well, anyway, so it tells you, and it turns out, by the way, that Kumarajiva was 4G, fourth ground bodhisattva, which is very impressive. The fourth ground bodhisattva, you will find out when you study more about the Avatamsaka Sutra. Fourth ground bodhisattva, one of the characteristics is they excel at scholarly pursuits. They're very erudite. They can absorb things like a sponge. You give them text after text, they absorb them. Okay? And that's why they're good at debates. Okay? But it's only 4G, fourth ground bodhisattva, so not very high. So the wisdom is still very limited, as evidenced by his teachings. I read some of his teachings, and it's not well structured because the wisdom is not quite there yet. 4G is impressive, okay? They're very solid, grounded, but they lack depth. Remember, if you have breadth, then it's very difficult to develop depth. In Mahayana, you want depth, then you want to go down first, okay? You dig down first, and then you expand. You don't go this way because it's much harder, very much like you have a bigger surface, it's much harder to push down. Am I making sense to you? Huh? That's common sense, okay? And so so that's why the 4G, the problem with the fourth ground bodhisattva is that they are enamored with knowledge, with literature, and therefore they keep on learning and learning and learning. This excites them. This is fascinating. You know, learning is so much fun, you know. But because of that, they fail to develop the depth. That's why. So they know a lot, but it's a jack of all trades. They really don't excel at much from our perspective. Okay? So anyway, that's a background. It tells you where, you know, you need to know where we look at someone and say, what is he good at? Okay, so Kumarajiva is very good to us because of his scholarly excellence. Okay? But don't expect this. Okay? Emperor China, back then, there's a Chinese emperor, Fu Jian, and heard of him. See, Kumarajiva was Indian, but the Chinese emperor heard of his reputation and decided that he's a great asset for China if he could come over. So he sent the whole army over to India to conquer the country. So they beat the king of Kucha army. Okay, and so they brought something like Senator General Lu Guang, who brought with him about maybe 10,000 Chinese soldiers, and they marched from China all the way to India, and fought with the king of Lucha, and then beat the heck out of the king's the Indian army, and then brought him back. So basically, the Chinese emperor stole Kumarajiva from India. Okay, and And it might sound funny to you, but to me, I'm so impressed by the Chinese emperor. Wisdom, great wisdom, because he realized, see, when you're an emperor, as you can imagine, the mindset is you want the best of everything, yeah? Best food, best music, best, and the best wisdom, okay? Best knowledge. And that's why he decided that he wanted from Kumarajiva. And he said, this is the best thing about Buddhism, therefore I want to bring it back to my country. And because of these great Chinese emperors, this is how Buddhism migrated from India to China. Okay, so it takes that kind of wisdom from the leaders, the great leaders, to benefit, who's bent upon benefiting the country, the empire, instead of stuffing the pockets or doing what they want. Okay, they are driven back then. The great leaders are driven by a desire to benefit the followers. Okay, real leadership. Okay, and so he sent an army over and went to war with a small country, Kucha, and of course the Kucha king would not have it. They went his puny army out to fight. The Chinese beat the heck out of the Indian army and then captured Kumarajiva and brought him back, okay, to China. So it's kind of cool, the politics back then. Personally, Master Kumarajiva's father was also a big shot. He was a monk and also very well known. And he arrived at Kucha and became a monk for the royal household. Okay, and he was so impressive, very handsome. Okay, so the king of Kucha really liked him a lot, and he caught the eyes of his sister. Okay, so to make sure that to keep all the great seats in the family, he allowed him to marry her. Okay, and that's how Kumarajiva came along. Kumarajiva is a combination Kumara, which is the father's side, and Jiva is the mother's side. Okay, and Bodhisattvas operate differently. Okay, they come into the strange circumstances, and whenever they appear in the world, auspicious signs happen. So when Kumarajiva is staying in his mother's womb, the mother's wisdom increased manifold. And she's also a Buddhist believer because that's how she got attracted to her husband, because she studied Buddhism and ended up liking the husband more than Buddhism. I mean, temporarily. Okay, and so when Kumarajiva came out, and at age 7, the mother had an epiphany. She says, she became a first-stage arhat by then, and around first-stage arhat, and she says, I want to leave the home life. Okay, and so when these great bodhisattvas came back then, the soothsayers went crazy. They would look at the kids and say, well, this has such a good physiognomy, and they're going to become someone very, very important, very special. Okay, So eventually at 87, the mother decided to leave the home life. So apparently, cultivation was more rewarding to her than the home life. Okay, and so eventually she succeeded in convincing her brother and her husband to let her leave the home life and became certified the first stage arhatship. Okay. Now, interesting thing about this is that, these people, this woman here worked very hard. Okay. And after all these years, you remember she met Kumarajiva, whatever that father beforehand, studied Buddhism, and being a princess, she could spend as much time as she wanted to study Buddhism, okay? And she did that, and then after several years, she finally certified to first stage arhatship after shaving her head. And nowadays, you guys are certifying to 1A first stage arhatship just, that quickly, okay? So you see, there's a difference between the Dharma's practice, okay? Indian Dharma versus American Dharma. Okay? Yeah. So Kumarajiva means mature youth, and so very mature. So this is no ordinary boy at a young age, okay? And how come now this translation, okay? It's a photographic memory, 30,000 words per day, okay? He can memorize sutras like Dharma Flower Sutra, okay? And he also follows his mother and shave his head, okay? And the Chinese have this fascination about living a home life. They said, this is something so special. Okay, and I find it funny because our lay people are even more advanced than monks and nuns. That's why I say, if you're a lay person, your samadhi level is higher and you become enlightened higher than my monks and nuns, who cares if you leave a home life or not? Okay? Now, wait, it doesn't sound right. And Master YongHua likes to tell this story. When he was a kid, he went to follow his mom to the temple. This is what you do to your kids, The mom is crazy about Buddhism, so it took him everywhere to visit temples. And one day he lifted up a bronze censer in front of the temples, and by himself as a boy. Okay, bronze censer is huge, heavy. And he's just able to do it. And when he realized, wait, this is heavy, I'm not supposed to be able to do that, and that thing dropped down right away. And this is a funny anecdote, but there's a Chan principle behind it. Okay. And I hope one day you understand what it is. Okay? And so, as usual, Abhidharma or the wisdom teachings or of the Hinayana people are everywhere. So, and it's so commonplace. Monks and nuns, when they first learn Buddhism, including myself, we learn Hinayana because it's more easily understood. It's logical teaching. It makes sense to us. Okay, and very rare to find people who would be able to study Mahayana. Okay, but Kumarajiva is something else. He started by studying Hinayana. Okay, and then picked up Mahayana, and then he became very good at understanding Mahayana. So you see. That's because in a prior life, he practiced already. Okay, so this is an important point to make. Whatever you reach right now, this lifetime, is a high water level mark, meaning a lifetime to lifetime, it's very easy for you to get up there again. This is very important. This is your true wealth, folks. It's not money, it's not material possession. This is your blessings and level of wisdom. This is your most important achievement in life. Because this is yours forever. Money is temporary. Fame, temporary. Husbands, temporary. You know it. Wife, temporary. Girlfriend, temporary. Okay? And so Kumarajiva was able to have these attainments is because he practiced before. And he was, for him, without much help, for him to get to 4G, fourth ground Bodhisattva level, it's because he was there already. And later, it was confirmed later, okay? And so anyway, going back to the story, Fu Jian, it's a long time to move an army of 10,000 Chinese soldiers and general and captains and so forth to India, go to war, and then come back. Okay, it'll take a long, long time. During that time there, Fu Jian lost his empire and was overthrown by Yao Xing. Okay, and Lu Guang, whose boss was Fu Jian, didn't want to go back to China, so he camped midway, and he declared his own kingdom. Okay, so at the time, Lu Guang, as a warlord, was in charge of Kumarajiva. So Kumarajiva had to be with Lu Guang, and Lu Guang forced Kumarajiva to get married. And then Yao Xing, the new Chinese emperor, asked Lu Guang for Kumarajiva. You see, the Chinese know something back then. And this is why they have something called a Chinese empire versus other countries. You see, wisdom, big thinking, okay? It's not just big thinking, but the big thinkers need assets or tools, superior assets, superior tools, okay? And Kumarajiva is one of them. And so Yao Xing, the new Chinese emperor, negotiated with Kumarajiva, but Lu Guang says, no, I don't like you. You usurped my boss. So Yao Xing sent the army, probably another 20,000 Chinese soldiers, okay, and beat Lu Guang and brought him back to China. That's how Kumarajiva finally made it from China to China, okay? And Yao Xing bowed him as a teacher right away, which probably means that Kumarajiva was showing off right away, okay? How would the emperor know who you are? You know, the real monks, when you see them, you see nothing special. But for the emperor to look at Kumarajiva and bow him like a teacher right away, you can tell Kumarajiva is always showing off, his knowledge, his skills, and so forth. Okay, but anyway, that's what it takes. By the way, for Buddhism to build a foundation, they all have to make sacrifices. Like my master, Master YongHua, how did he make sacrifices? He did not stoop as low as trying to impress the emperor. Okay? Because it's not a good thing. You know why not? Because you impress the emperor, then what about your peers? If the emperor favors you, then the other masters would be at a disadvantage. And they are the ones actually who need more support than you. So it's not clean to try to impress the emperor, presidents, and so forth. Okay, that's why in Chinese Chan, the great patriarchs don't do that. Okay, they don't go near emperors. Okay, and so Master Xinhua didn't do that, but he revealed his spiritual powers and impressed a lot of people, including myself. Okay, at a price. He manifested spiritual powers primarily by healing people. And that's why he died younger, okay? Healed too many people, okay? So anyway, Kumarajiva was very impressive, so the emperor liked him a lot, built a lot of stupas, and upon the emperor's sponsorship, patronage, 90% of the Chinese empire people there became Buddhists. Okay, and many monks and nuns trained and translated stuff. Okay, so this is a big achievement. Okay, for the average. So Kumarajiva's job is very important. He laid the foundation for Buddhism. Okay, yes. All right. And what's the difference between that and a patriarch? Kumarajiva is a low level, so that's why he laid the foundation only. He didn't really transmit the depth of Indian Buddhism into China. That's later done by Bodhidharma. Okay? And he's very well respected, a great translator, and he did a lot of good Buddhist system, and okay. So again, Kumarajiva has some affinities with Chinese women and Indian women. So he had one Indian wife and 10 Chinese wives. You don't find it funny? Okay, never mind. It's funny that, that he's forced to marry. Poor guy. Anyway, so as a monk, he's allowed to have a private residence because the emperor says so. Eat your heart out, okay? And so it's an anecdote. So since he had a lot of followers, a lot of monks and nuns who also practiced hard, they objected to the fact of him having a family. So Kumarajiva didn't say anything. He invited them to a royal banquet, okay, more or less royal banquet quality level. And he at the banquet, all attended by these big name monks. Okay, he served them for food. He served them a dish made of Chinese needles, sewing needles. Okay, truly vegetarian. So everyone was served with some Chinese needles. And they said, "What? Where's the food?" And Kumarajiva said, "That's the food." And so they said, "How can you eat this? How can anyone possibly eat this?" And Kumarajiva simply went to someone, grabbed some bowl, a bunch of needles, put on his mouth, and swallowed it. And he said, "Okay, have a good lunch. I'm going back to my wife's." Okay, and so he simply says, "Lotus flower grows from mud, but it's not sullied by it." Okay. It's very Chinese, okay? I don't know what it means. Up to you to interpret whatever you want to interpret. Yeah. But Kumarajiva translations is highly, highly prized. And so before he died, he knew that. He said, my fear is that I translated so many Buddhist texts, and it's so highly regarded by so many people. My fear is that I screwed up. Would be a total disaster for me. Okay, then my life work would be would be a disaster. So he says, if my translation is accurate enough, then after the cremation, okay, my tongue would not burn. And sure enough, they cremated his body, and the tongue did not burn. Okay, see, she shows off, constantly showing off. Okay, all right. Questions, comments. And the reason I go through this, because it's been a while. This is kind of funny story. I read it at least 5 times through Master YongHua's Sutra explanations. So this is only like to revisit it, because I get emotional. I love my master. He's a great man, and I wish I had the chance to cultivate from under him. Okay, that's one of my biggest failures, is not to be able to do that. Okay, but my hope is to introduce all of you, to his works, so that you should read his sutra explanation yourself. It's time well spent, let me assure you. My foundation came from there. Okay, so I highly recommend that you read his stuff. All right? And going back to the translation of Kumarajiva, he's a really superb translator and a very prolific, translator. Okay, and so going back to this title of the sutra. Okay, the sutra name is Vimalakirti Nirdesa. Vimalakirti is Sanskrit that means defilement-free fame. Okay, you're famous, but you're free from defilement. It's kind of interesting concept. Notoriety that comes with purity. And that's something that I don't understand. I haven't seen anything like this in our world, have you? Can you think of anyone besides my late Chinese teacher who's famous and is not defiled, is pure? It's kind of interesting, okay? And you will learn that more. You learn more about this Vimalakirti character. And it is said that the Buddha chose 2 different titles for this sutra, okay? And because during the translation, they also advocated combining names and so forth, okay? And in this sutra here, as a preview for you, overview for you, some sections are spoken by the Buddha himself, and some by Vimalakirti. Okay, Vimalakirti is a layman, but he's actually a fake layman. Okay, he's actually a Buddha in disguise as a layman. Okay, and the Buddha knows that. The Buddha knows Vimalakirti is actually another Buddha coming to his world to help teach his Buddhist disciples. That's why Shakyamuni Buddha was very grateful. So he came and honored Vimalakirti. Okay, and so that's why he says this is the title is the sayings or teachings of Vimalakirti. Okay, or inconceivable explanation. Okay, because it's a very, very profound teachings. And another title that's Xuan Zhang, another great monk, Chinese monk who went to India to bring back Mahayana texts, chose the title to 说无垢称经, okay, is name. So it says, again, the name emphasizes Vimalakirti, okay, of free from defilements, and many explanations in Chinese of the sutra, and Vimalakirti is a layman who's able to transform and guide countless living beings, including monks and nuns, including bodhisattvas, okay? And even though he's a layman, he's an elder, elder meaning that he's older and he's well respected, he's by virtue, and also for him by wealth. He was actually very wealthy, to the point where he's probably wealthier than the king, but no one knows it. Yeah. When you're wealthy in China, you disguise it. Yeah. In America, when you're wealthy, we display it. You know, you marry a younger girl, okay, and give her a $500 million engagement ring. And you go to the Met Gala and have a dress in transparent things. Yuck. I don't get it, do you? Huh? It doesn't bother you? Something is wrong? Huh? It doesn't bother you? I read it on the news. Oh, what happened? $500 million. Is it $500 million? $500 million? I don't remember anymore. The engagement ring, you know that? It's like 500 something, either 500 million or 500,000. It's insane. You know? Can you find out? It's amazing to me. It's $500 million, I think. Okay? So you're wearing a house on your finger. Anyway, so it's defilement free, okay, and because he's a Buddha, okay. See this, the Americans in San Jose and DTT and here, they're just so blasé. This is America. This is the American way, okay. I don't get it. If you're rich, why would you let you flaunt your wife? Anyway, lots of things in life I don't get. No comment? Okay. And so, how can you be defilement free in the midst of defilement? It requires wisdom. That's the only way for you to be. And in particular, for layman Vimalakirti to be completely defilement free, it is a state of a Buddha. Okay? So how much? Did you guys find out? Huh? G.I. Joe? No? No one cares? Oh, you guys are so boring. I find it fascinating. Wearing a house on your finger? Okay. He's beyond Buddhism. That even bodhisattvas and arhats and monks who had to come to him, he would scold them. You find out in the explanation in the sutra. But his reputation is spread throughout galaxies, not just here in our galaxy, but all over the galaxies. So most likely, in most Buddha lands, there will be a sutra spoken by Vimalakirti, because when Buddhas teach, it's recorded. Okay, it's good for us. Okay, and so that's why it says Vimalakirti's Teaching Sutra is the name in Chinese. Okay, and how they become Vimalakirti is part of the Buddha's work, meaning that Buddhas have their own style of helping. And notice that he's a Buddha coming to our Saha world, where this belonged to Shakyamuni Buddha. You see, Buddhas cooperate. There's no rivalry at all. Okay? Because it's not about them. It's about us. Okay? And it's something I remind myself to deal with my jealousy. I'm very bitter. Okay? And why is that? We're so poor and broke. It's not fair. Yes, JC? Go ahead.
네, 마스터 강설에 대한 건 아니고요. 그 마스터 지침에 관해서 질문 드립니다. 한 2년 전에 마스터가 미국에 가는 것에 관련해서 42수한 1번을 하라고 하셨는데 제가 그것을 잘 하지 못하다가 작년 가을부터 계속 해오고 있습니다. 그런데 그것을 지속해야 하는 건지 아니면 다르마톡을 계속 듣는 것에 더 집중해야 하는 건지 질문드립니다.
To the US, and then I got the instruction to recite number 1 of 42 hands and eyes.
Yes.
So I didn't do very well, but from the last fall, I started practicing. So I'm wondering whether should I keep doing it or should I focus on listening Dharma talk?
Can you do 50-50? 50-50. Okay? Yeah, you're reading, you're doing it because you want something. So do 50%. And the other 50 is wisdom. Okay? It's important to listen to the instructional talks, sutras and Dharma talks and so forth. Okay? Because it seems to have helped you a lot. Okay? So those of you who are wondering, people have been asking me this question quite frequently recently. If you want to improve faster, I would listen more to the Dharma talks. Okay, when you're driving, when you're going to a supermarket, sitting on the bus and so forth, as the case in K-land, okay? People use public transportation a lot more than here. I would listen more, okay? Use your Samsung pod, okay? To listen. All right? Okay, so the one thing about this sutra and this name here tells you that the emphasis is on defilement-free, okay? And it's very Buddhist. In Buddhism, we don't strive for recognition, personal comfort, gains, and so forth, okay? The standard is, are you free from defilements, as is the case in this sutra. And this Buddha who decided to come to our world to be known as Vimalakirti, he says, this is my fundamental teaching to you. Okay? It's about the standards of excellence is being free from defilements. And if you like that, then your reputation is vast and great. All right? And it's not that easy, by the way, unless your merit and virtue are perfected. It's very difficult to be free from defilements. All right. And also Vimalakirti name also means inconceivable and wonderful wisdom, okay, which is pure and bright. Inside there's no afflictions, no confusion, no obstruction. No affliction is that nothing bothers you, okay. No confusion meaning that you can see clearly, okay. We're confused because we are misguided by the exteriors, okay. So for example, we like colors. You know that I heard there's some northern lights. Anyone see northern lights recently here in the US? Oh my God, you are the most boring people I know. You live like a monk. Okay? There's some lights, there's still some lights tonight, I think something like that. Yeah, check it out. Come on, you guys. What is it with you? Huh? All you do is cultivate? That's it? 8.
Thank you, Master. Yes, there's supposed to be a solar storm that is going to make some kind of like northern lights here in the US.
My man. Yeah, okay, so how do you watch it? How do you get to see it? You, my man, is what my friend says.
So some of those are visible here in California. I didn't see them myself, but some friends, they shared some pictures to me, and it was beautiful.
Wow, nice. You should try to look for that, share it, and see if we can get the chance to see it once in a lifetime, unless you go to, Norway or something. Denmark? Iceland? Yeah, thank you. In the back, did you have something to say in the back?
Master, I just want to say that it appeared in LA County yesterday. And
It did? Okay. Somebody watch it and record it, so just in case we don't get to see it. Okay? All right. So no confusion, meaning that all the things there, the thing we perceive, you see, you hear, you taste, and you touch, cannot confuse you. Okay? And no obstructions, meaning that first, you are not jealous. No? Anyone has a problem with jealousy? Why is it so quiet? And this is a problem. We have more people getting together to cultivate. Jealousy is bound to happen. Okay? So it has no obstruction of when you're jealous, and you naturally obstruct others, and no suffering. By the way, you suffer because you lack wisdom. When you have wisdom, you can solve any of your sufferings to the point where this will be zero suffering. All right? So you have a guy here, Vimalakirti, a Buddha here, who personifies that. And furthermore, it's also Vimalakirti, okay, is also stands for kindness and compassion. Okay? Kindness and compassion, because this is what real Buddhas do, is to help living beings. That's the only one thing they do. Okay? And it's because we cannot see his real Buddha face. Okay? We cannot see a Buddha face. As for the Buddha, this Buddha here from another world had to manifest in a human flesh and call himself Vimalakirti. Okay? so that we can see it, so that his parents can see him, his wife can see him, his children can see him, and so forth. Okay? And the one thing that's kind of interesting here is that he's praised by the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Okay? He's not worried about what you think of him. Okay? Why not? Because no matter what you think of him, the Buddhas of the 10 directions are constantly praising him. Okay? That's a Buddha standard. Okay, another part of the name is 所说 or spoken. Okay, so this is what Buddhas do to help us. The primary means that we can know, is when they want to help us. Okay, the primary form of help is to speak Dharma to us. They do a lot more than you imagine. But the one thing that we can always count on, we can always have access to, is their recorded teachings, their teachings. Okay? And so how did he speak Dharma? They always do this. They use expedience. They cannot go ahead and tell you, hey, let me teach you this and tell you that. Okay? Usually, because of nature, our confusion, okay, when someone tells you, let me give you something for free, you say, no, I don't want it. Okay? And when it comes down to wisdom. Yes, go first.
Hello, Master. I have a comment. So you mentioned in the previous slide that we don't see the Buddha, the face of the Buddha, so Vimalakirti showed up with a layman's face. But I think he actually lives, from my understanding, he lives in the same period as Buddha in India, right? Are they the same, basically from the same time, and then they all take a human form at the same time?
That statement is a good point, and I'm glad you asked. That the point being made that the real Buddha body cannot be seen by us. Only Buddhas can see themselves. Buddha's body, the Dharma body, cannot even be seen by bodhisattvas, let alone us. Okay? So in order for them, Buddhas, to teach us, they have to manifest into something we can see. Like Shakyamuni Buddha is a manifestation of that Buddha. And Vimalakirti is a manifestation, a flesh manifestation of another Buddha. That's what that statement meant. Okay?
Thank you, Master.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think it's really cool they actually got to see two Buddhas at the same time. Well, they're teaching at the same time.
Yeah, they're teaching not just two Buddhas. There are plenty of Buddhas are teaching at the same time. For example, I assure you that Amitabha Buddha is here as well, teaching. Okay? The problem is we cannot recognize him. He doesn't want us to recognize him. It could be a girl, okay? Could be, a Republican. See, I get a laugh right away. Yeah.
Must be.
Guarantee you it's not orange face. Guaranteed. Okay. And so, yes, and so all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, okay, when they speak Dharma, this is a statement, they all have to use expedient devices because no one likes to be taught. That's our sad reality. Okay? And so they all have to create conditions and subterfuges and ruses and expedients and excuses to teach us because the timing is very important. It's not haphazard at all. That's why they have to use expedience. Okay? What's the English expression here? You have to strike the iron when it's hot. Okay? So it has to be at the right time, at the right temperature, and you just bing, and you're done. That's Buddhist teaching, by the way. So it seems like you're doing nothing, you're sitting there for 1 hour, 2 hours, and you go, I don't know what I did today. But you know what, G.I. Joe? One of these days when the iron is hot, ping! And you become 1G. That's when you applaud. Thank you. Calm down. Okay? And so for him, in order for him to speak Dharma, he used a ruse. He says, the Buddhists has a teaching, especially the monks and the bodhisattvas, they have this protocol. They said that in the bodhisattva precepts, what it governs our rules on how to help others, okay? That's a foundation for us in Mahayana on how to help others, okay? So in a bodhisattva precept, he says that if you see a sick person, you have to take care of them. That's a rule. So for example, you're going somewhere and you see a sick person, you stop, you take care of the sick person before you move on. That's very Buddhist. Okay? So that's a Buddhist teaching. So because of that, okay, he pretended to be sick so that word spread that this famous man, highly respected man, honored by the king, okay, was sick. So all the Arhat disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha and the Bodhisattvas, okay, they had to come and Kanbing to help him with his illness. And that's when they came, that they realized that he can speak Dharma to them. So it's a ruse for him to force people who understand, who live by the Buddhist principles, okay, to be taught. So if you don't say, okay, so Buddha says, I'm supposed to go pay a visit and help this person, but since I'm busy, maybe another person, then you don't get to be taught by him. Isn't that cool? That's very Buddhist. It's always a test there. Okay? Are you going to stretch a rule? Huh? Like Republicans, stretch a little bit more? Okay, as long as no one knows, who cares? Yeah. As long as you can get away with it, okay, then it should be okay. No. Yes, go Forrest.
Thank you, Master. I just want to share a story. Last week when I went to work, we have a patient who have bipolar, and she's also part homeless. She got adopted by teacher and take her in. And when she went in labor, she was in pain and she's all over the place. She cannot handle, even if the doctor give her Ativan multiple dose, which is a medication we usually give for anti-convulsion patient or to calm patient down, it doesn't even touch her. And she wasn't my patient. However, I went into that room to give the primary nurse a break. And I saw that, and she was like, anything touch her, she would just rip everything apart and throw it away and jump all over the bed and roll. Then the doctor gave her epidural, which is the medication that will numb wherever the needle placed, it would numb from that area down, usually below the belly button, so that she doesn't feel the pain. That doesn't even touch her. So when I went in for giving her the break, I remember Master's XCs told me, she said, you know, one thing like that, you can always ask for one scene to help. And I can see my coworker was so exhausted. She said, no, the whole entire half shift, I haven't done any charting. I'm overwhelmed. So I told her, why don't you inform the chart nurse that your responsibility for her is over? I'm going to take over. And then I put my hand on the patient back and I say, Wan Yin, please help her silently. Right after that, the epidural that doesn't work, I call another anesthesiologist came in. Normally the patient would jump up and down and there's no way they can play an epidural on the spine. But in her case, I just hold her and then I told her mom to stand right next to her with me, and we both was able to calm the patient, and she got the epidural. After that, she's have no more out of control, and she have a beautiful delivery of the baby, safe mom and safe baby. Right before that, the doctor even talked about C-section. Yeah, so once Yin help in that case.
Wow, how about that, huh? So, wow, so impressive. What's so impressive to me? What's so impressive to me is that Wan Yin talks to you. Ask the old abbot, he should be proud of you, huh? Switch to the old abbot, see what he has anything to say.
Trong cái kinh nói thầy vừa nhắc cái chữ inconceivable. Mình làm cũng được hết á. Nếu mình có cái lòng thành là giúp người ta thôi. Có thể là cô đụng tới họ cũng được. Không cần phải cầu, nhưng mà cái lực cô đụng vô được, hoặc cô đứng đằng xa cô cầu cũng được. Cái tâm của mình là không thể nghĩ bàn, thì nó sẽ liên kết ngay thôi. Cái cô làm như là rất là đúng rồi đó. Cái tâm mình không thể nghĩ bàn, thì mình muốn làm cái chuyện từ thiện thì mình làm, hoặc mình cô ở đó mà nghe cháu cô ở dưới LA hay đâu vậy cái gì cô cũng làm vậy được luôn đó. Xin hết.
Emitofuo. So in the sutra, Master also usually speak of the word inconceivable. We can do anything we want only if we have a sincere mind. So you can also apply that, whether you touch the patient or stay from afar. You can do that. Our mind is inconceivable. You can also immediately connect with your the people you wanted to help. For example, if you hear your nephew or somebody far away in LA have something happen, you can just sit at where you are, and to help them is also okay as well.
Yeah, but again, it's impressive if Wan Yin would listen to her. So impressive. Very good. Keep it up, guys. Okay. So let me finish those 2 points here on the slide and we go. So the first chapter is an overview spoken by Shakyamuni Buddha, and the expedient chapter later was spoken by Vimalakirti. So we have 2 Buddhas speaking Dharma for us. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.